So everybody that likes to wear clothes likes to have laundry, and they want to make sure that the laundry is nice and fresh and clean. And everybody has their own standards, but Cody's your employer. So she has a standard of how she likes to look, how she likes to smell, how she likes to present herself when she's out in community. So it's really it's important to be mindful that it's her standard. She's the one that's paying you to do it.
Hi, Mom.
And it's a lesson that can be learned. We all learn how to do different skills, and this is something we can learn to do that's going to be conducive to what's best for Cody. So here we have her basket of laundry, and you can see that we have lights and we have darks and we have colors and we have things that are more heavily soiled and things that are less soiled. I always like to take things like her whites. Whites are for personal, her private area, and we use those exclusively for that reason. And we don't, use the whites on her face or on her hands. It's strictly for her pericare. And also these mats would be used strictly to be under her, so that if she has, had, what did Cody just say? So if she's had the need where we've had a little bit more soil on it, then we've got something that's here. So once we've used the cloths, they are put in a bin that is called personal care cloths, and they're set aside after they've been used until they're ready to be laundered. So I would just put those in there and they would soak a little bit. There's also another bucket that we're going to use for heavily soiled things, and we would just, when we're changing her, place them in the bucket, take it straight out to the garage so that it can be rinsed off, and then once it's rinsed off, put back into the bucket and taken to the laundry. We don't want to mix different clothing colors, all of those things. It's strictly to use to transport those heavily soiled clothing out to the garage, where there's a big laundry tub with a powerful head on it that you can really shower it off, anything extra, and make sure that it then gets into the laundry. But you want to just kind of contain odors and contain things. So we want Cody's environment to smell nice and look nice. And hey, so again, when we're going to laundry, darks, brights, whites, all separated. So, hey Rob, hey. So Code, girls just have to have something to cover the girls. And when they do, there's certain intimate apparel that needs to be washed a little bit differently than other clothing. So I would suggest anything that's delicate, including intimate apparel, and things like Cody's scarves that could get wrapped around in her other laundry, maybe place them in a laundry bag and set in the laundry separately, and then hung to dry in the furnace room. So again, we're just going to separate them. And once we have a load of laundry per se, so Code, do you think this is dark? Would this be dark or light? So these being dark slacks, I tend to be a little bit particular, and Cody too. Why not turn it right side out before you even put it into the laundry? And then when you take it out to fold it, half the work's already done. This is kind of a little bit brighter, but it could go in here. These are her cloths that we place on Cody to guard her clothing when she's at home from any extra, food that might cause stains, etc. So if there is extra food on here, maybe her salad, she's had a great big huge salad, I would suggest taking it over the garbage or over a sink and shaking it off to make sure that extra food goes elsewhere, and then dealing with that later. So again, dark, right, Code? Kind of a mix in between. This is kind of somewhat delicate, but really, if you're not sure, always check the label. And again, why not turn it right side out? Can you have a hug? What kind of a hug do you need? Do you like laundry, Code? I don't think anybody truly loves it. But when you're getting paid to do it, you can learn to acquire the passion for it. So this is kind of delicate. I wouldn't necessarily say that it needs to be washed separately, but you can see that there's a little bit of extra soil on it. You might want to consider soaking it, or you might want to consider pre-spraying it to make sure that all the soil comes out when it goes into the laundry.
Cody said.
All right, Code. So I'm just going to finish this. We have a couple more lights.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, cutie. Another cloth. Here we are. Another shirt we can turn right side out. And I don't always get Cody's clothing first, but if she's anything like me, tags are a nuisance. So I often cut my own out, and I would suspect that she would like hers cut out because they make me itchy and scratchy. So be mindful of that if she seems a little bit irritable. And it could be that she's got some labels that are bothering her. Pardon? You want a hug? Well, I'm really thrilled that you want a hug, sweetheart. I'm going to leave that aside because it's part of her intimate apparel. Oh, another shirt we can turn. See? Labels. These ones along the side might not bother her as much. They bother me at the top of my pants and then at my neck very much so. And sometimes, if it bothers me even in the slightest, I cut it out really quickly. Who cares what the size says?
Mommy, can you give
I'm the only one that matters, and I know the front from the back. Right, Cody? So things like that might really irritate her, and I'd be pulling them out. Those ones are plastic. They pull out really easily, and off they go. Can I do what, love?
Did you hear what Cody
Do you mind me having these on your tray? Is that okay?
said?
Do you want me to take them off? Okay, so now we've sorted. We have a again, socks. Why not open them up? It's just as easy, like I said, to do it when you are starting the laundry as it is when you're finishing. I would consider this to be part of the darks, and these kind of in the light category. So we've got pretty much a load of darks, and we're going to deal with this a little bit separately. So Code, I'm going to take your cart. Do you want to push it or do you want to help me push it? Help? All right. So we got to figure out how we're going to do this. Because we need to take this down the hallway and video where your laundry is. I'm going to open the door to your room. Okay? Are you ready to roll? I'm going to bring this kind of behind us, all right? We're going to scoot down the hall. Keep your hands in. All the way down the hall. So coming out. And we're going to turn to Cody's right. Okay, Code, so I'm going to leave you right around here. Well, I go ahead of you for just a minute and show everybody where your laundry machine is, okay? So in our home, we have one laundry area, and it's shared between us, Glenn and I, and Cody. So we have the washer and the dryer. I always recommend, because it's a front-loading machine, to leave the washer open at all times, and that was what was recommended to us by the appliance store when we purchased the washer and dryer. This is a pretty reasonable size load of laundry, but let's start with the intimate apparel. Generally, there should be a little laundry bag on the counter or in the cupboard, and just put some of those softer, more intimate things you don't necessarily want rolling around in the laundry that could get wrapped up, and toss it in. First of all, make sure it's been empty, and bring the load into the washing machine. And if you recall, we had a shirt that had a little bit of extra soil on it. Here's one as an example. So in this cupboard, we have spray. I would just spray it a couple of times. If it looks like it's been a little bit deeper soil, then you might want to just soak it. I'm going to toss it in. Again, I'm going to check the other shirt. Yep, we have some extra soiling here. You can see. I'm going to give it a spray. And I'm going to toss it in. And that about does it. Now that's a pretty small load of laundry. I always recommend don't overfill. I'd rather underfill than overfill. But this is where you put your laundry detergent. And fill, I don't personally use a measuring cup, but you're going to use about 1/4 of a cup of laundry soap. You can see here that that's pretty sufficient. Oh, we found a few more pieces. Again, making sure that they've been shook out, which I believe they were. Toss them in and then close this drawer. So here's all the settings. With that size of a load, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to a quick wash. And I'm going to hit the power button. I'm going to look at the settings and going, do I need warm, hot, or cold? Very rarely do you need hot unless it's her personal care cloths, the white ones, or something else that might have been more heavily soiled. That's usually white. And then if it's delicate things, extra high might twist and turn the laundry a little bit too much. But this load should be good because it's really pretty generic. And then I'm just going to start the load, just as the settings are now. You'll also notice that there are little alarm bells that go off for cycle signal and button sound. Quite frankly, that's irritating if you're in our half of the house and hear all those bells and whistles going off. It's like, what's that noise? So I don't recommend turning them on. Generally speaking, you know it's going to run 25 minutes. So just, you know, and often the laundry is put in when you're coming or going, the beginning or end of a shift, or when you've got time to make sure that the load gets separated. Now over to the dryer, I would transfer the clothes. I would take out the intimate apparel. I would hang it, and I'll show you where we'll hang it. And when we toss it into the dryer, what are we going to do first and foremost? Every single load, you're going to check for lint, because more house fires start from lint being caught in the dryer ductwork than anything else. And you can see some of this gets caught. This has been kind of torn away. Just tuck it back into the track. Take as much off as you possibly can. And there is a garbage right there. Then slide it just gently back in there. Toss your load in. Close the door. And the dryer door always remains closed. Then you're going to set your power. That load that we just put in is pretty much a normal load. There's nothing exceptional. So I would just press normal. It's going to take 48 minutes to dry. It's on medium temperature. I don't want it too hot, because if there happens, it can actually shrink cottons if it's too hot. It could also destroy some of the more delicate fabrics if the dryer is too hot. So medium temperature, more dry, so it has a bit of a dryness sense. What do you call that? Like a sensor. And again, leave all of these other signals off. Please just maintain the sanity in the home. And then I would press the start button. You can pause both the washer and the dryer cycle if you need to, but not too far into the wash cycle. All right, so that's it. I'm going to pause or cancel at this point. Put the spray away. If there was something that was heavily soiled and needed to be soaked, I would, this is whites. There's a little sink here. I just happen to have some cloths that I use to scrub the floor in that little sink. So sometimes, heavily soiled, by that I mean maybe she's gotten mustard on a t-shirt. Maybe she's gotten ketchup on something, or chocolate. That's the kind of soil I'm talking about. So we might just soak it here for a few minutes, or, you know, between loads, put it in there with some extra water and a scoop of the Oxy. I don't always use Oxy for every load, depends on the soil level. But you can add it directly into the washer if it's needed. It tends to be more with the lights and brights that I put the Oxy in. Okay, so going in behind here is a room, and this is where the furnace is, but we also have some drying racks in here. Light. So things like Cody's intimate clothing, things like this little sweater dress, things like her scarves that she wears, things like a softer fabric. Something that I have on, I would hang to dry here, either on a hanger or just over the rack. And some of her other pads that go under her when you're changing her would go on the racks to dry as well. Again, because too much heat is going to actually break down the fabric. Okay, And it's warm in there, trust me. All right, coat.